It's Thursday afternoon. It's Mark Pires, and it's Real Talk! This is the daily vlog designed to help you make smarter moves. And by the time we get to YouTube, it's actually like a vlogcast. So I've been doing podcasts like crazy lately. And if you haven't checked one out yet, go to the podcast store on iTunes and download the Mark Pires Real Talk podcast and check it out, guys. There's 5 episodes up there right now. And just to give you an overview, so the first 3 or 4, I was kind of feeling things out. There's a lot of personal stories. This is who I am. There's a lot of the things I've been through. Episode 2 is crazy. I talked about being bullied and the effect that had on me the rest of my life. And I talked about the superhero. You know, there are superheroes in our lives. And when I was 11 years old, 12 years old, there was a superhero. And his name was Mike Green. And Mike Green saved the day for me, and he helped me out of a situation that, you know, I might as well talk about it. I mean, look, this is the beauty of the YouTube vlogcast, is that I don't have to keep it short like I do on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. I can go on here and chat with you guys for a little bit. So basically, I just want to say, I've been feeling like, feeling great about letting myself out there and expressing myself. But I have to tell you, when you've been through a situation like being physically abused by bigger kids, it does a lot to your soul when you're a kid, especially when you're a very small kid, which I was. And the basic story behind it, I was in an art class. I saw this little kid. He was smaller than me, if you could believe that. And I was very small. I was like, I'll get into that later, but I was very small. This kid was smaller than me, and I had said these 2 kids were picking on him. And I said, hey guys, leave him alone. Hey guys, why don't you leave him alone? It was the end of art class. I could have waited like 2 more minutes and never would have heard, seen a thing. But I think everything in life is meant to happen. So basically, these guys said, okay, well, we'll stop picking on him and we're going to beat up on you. So for the entire year, I'm not joking, it wasn't like occasionally, every single day, these guys would beat me up. They'd throw me up against lockers. They'd punch me. And it was 2-on-1, and I was small. And I was already not going to fight back. If you know anything about me by now, or if you've seen me, I like to get along with everybody. I want everybody to get along. I don't know how that happens, but that's the goal here, is that a positive light can make people feel better. And I'm hoping that that's the case. But there are a lot of rotten people out there. And these 2 kids decided to just beat the heck out of me for the entire year. But I wasn't all alone. I was a lot of times, and they would just be going to town on me. And over the shoulder of this guy, Bruno, I'd see like this, it was like a freight train coming out like this down the hallway. I'm like, and I see it, I'm looking, and it's Mike Green. And he's coming full speed. He's like he's pushing people out of the way. And he comes, he throws his backpack on the ground. He grabs one guy, he throws him up against the locker. He grabs the other guy, he throws him that way. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And as a kid who was really small, I couldn't do anything about it. But I sat there and I was marveling a guy who would come and stand up for somebody. He wasn't my brother. It wasn't like we were related and he was coming to fend for me. He saw someone who was less fortunate, and I was a small kid against 2 big kids. And he saw someone who couldn't protect themselves, and he was my superhero. Now, everybody says, that's crazy, a superhero? No, all he did was push off a couple of guys. You don't understand the mental, you don't understand what goes on in the mind when you're being bullied. And I can tell you, because I've been through it for an entire year, it really wears you down. And when you are ashamed of the fact that you can't protect yourself, which is what I was, I didn't say anything. So I'd go home every day and I just wear that inside. I just take it in. Every day I'd go and get beat up, and then I'd go home and I wouldn't say anything to my brothers or my parents. And for like 7 or 8 months, I just got beat up every single day. And the only thing I could hope for was that Mike Green would see, and he'd come out of nowhere and he'd help to fight these guys off of me. And the crazy thing about this is these 2 guys were terrified of Mike. They were terrified of him. 2-on-1 with him, they would run away. It was the weirdest thing, but I understand also the mentality behind that. He was somebody who said, I don't care if I get hurt. I'm going to go and I'm going to fight until I beat you up. And that was the mentality. He had this, he came from a perspective of, I see my friend and my friend needs help. Man, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to help. And if you see someone believe and they're passionate enough that much to help somebody, you better be afraid. You better be afraid. And I'll tell you, I still, to this day, I think about Mike Green. I tell my kids about Mike Green. I actually have My kids know about Mike Green. I mean, seriously, if there's somebody who goes out of their way to do something great, I've heard them say this to me before. Oh, just like Mike Green. Yes, just like Mike Green. Be more like Mike Green. Now, I put a post up recently on Facebook, and it was before I was doing vlogs, before I was going on and speaking to the camera. And it was just a basic rundown of who Mike was and what he did for me and how much it meant to me. And he simply responded that he felt he was just going to help a friend. He didn't think anything of it. He doesn't see himself as a hero. But I would challenge you to say anybody who is a hero would probably feel the same way about themselves. They're just doing what feels right. They're not trying to do anything noble. They're just doing what feels right in here. And the fact is, there's not a lot of people doing that. So when we see someone do that, it really is kind of like we step back and we say, wait a second. We should all lead with our heart more. We should all do things like Mike Green did. He changed my life. It's such a silly thing in 7th grade, to have someone like that give you such a world perspective that, look, there are big people, there are small people. You could pick on a small person all you want, but all you're doing is being a really bad human being. Life is short. I always talk about how we got to get along, we got to be connected. Those guys scared the hell out of me in 7th grade. I couldn't live in my moment at all because I was terrified. I was terrified that around the corner I would see these two guys, or I'd see one of them. They were both like twice the size of me. And then even when they were alone, I would be terrified of these guys. But together, throwing me up against lockers, punching me. Here's the craziest and worst part about it all. And if anybody remembers this, I'd love to hear from them. I was in, I believe it was G-Wing in Toms River Intermediate East. And it became like a show. It became like a show where all of a sudden the whole wing would circle around and just watch as I got beat up. It was the weirdest thing in the world, but that's what happened. And it got to the point where I remember hearing this, walking down the hallway, and someone said to one of these guys, hey, yeah, so you're going to beat up on Mark today? It was a thing. They all just knew that if you wanted to see someone get picked on and thrown up against lockers and some small kid, it was a ridiculous thing to see, I imagine, but I can't tell you because I was living through it. So it all ended eventually. I think it got to such a point where somehow, it must have been pretty apparent, but the principal found out. The principal called my parents, and I think that's finally when I had that, I had that moment where you're sitting with everybody and they're just like, hey, look, what happened? Why didn't you tell us? And it's an embarrassing thing when you can't protect yourself, especially when you're a kid and everybody else is. So, and I think I also realize when you are where you are in life, you start to realize who you are, what, where your strengths are, weaknesses, what kind of person you are. And I've never been someone who fights, likes to fight, likes to hurt anybody. I don't want people hurt. I just don't, that's not for me. Side story, and then I'm going to go into what today's Real Talk is about. But I had a situation the other day where I was having a conversation with someone, and all of a sudden it went really negative to the point where I got this pit, really, really gross feeling inside of me. And I said to myself, I started having a panic attack. It was the weirdest thing, but I was like, I gotta go. I just had to walk and get fresh air. I needed to get out of the scenario, and I'm starting to realize more and more, I think I'm getting more sensitive to the energy. Now that I understand that I have that sensitivity, it is the most powerful connection for me now. When I meet new people, when I'm around people I know, I could just feel all these different energies coming at me. And I think it's because I'm trying to put out all positivity, and I could just feel, I could feel resistance here and there. I could feel the people who are patting me on the back and saying, this is really cool. Keep doing what you're doing. Life is about getting out of your comfort zone. And that's what our quote for today is on this Real Talk VlogCast edition. And Tracy from my office gave me this awesome quote. And I took it to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn already. And again, those are really short, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, where I could just kind of quickly go over the topic. But I like to come on here and just lay it out and get into things with you guys here. And I really think this is where it's going. You guys tell me if you think so, but I don't think the 1 minute, 2 minute things make sense. I want to get into a conversation with you. And I don't think I could do that in 1 or 2 minutes. But anyway, this is the quote for today. If you are outgrowing who you have been, you are right on schedule. So I want you to remember those words, take them into your life, because if you find yourself feeling like you're not the same guy you were yesterday, the same girl you were yesterday, and you're trying new things and you're feeling a little out of your comfort zone, go with it. You're on the right schedule. You are going to get there right on time. The problem with not doing those things is that you are not ever going to get out of the current situation you're in unless you do that. In order for you to find any landscape that's different than you're currently in, you're going to have to take a leap. And at some point, you have to figure out which one makes the most sense. You don't want to do something that's completely 100% risky. You want to take something that you feel inside is a very, very good, strong chance you're going to land somewhere. That's where you want to spend your time. This has just been very, very therapeutic for me to just get into these conversations with this guy right here. And I want to hear more from you guys. I'm glad Tracy gave me this quote today. I want to get more from everybody. I want to go into these things. I really want to get people on camera and do a little back and forth. Hopefully that happens at some point. But anyway, it's Real Talk. It's Mark Pires. And I'm going to be back for tomorrow's episode. But this is going to be the concept, guys. We're going to do on YouTube a nice little foray into the topic. We'll chat about it. And just remember, if you find you are different than you were yesterday, or if you are outgrowing who you have been, you are right on schedule. And that's basically it for today, guys. It's Mark Pires. It's Real Talk. And I'll see you on the next episode. Make sure you download episode 5 of the podcast. Lots of cool stuff there. I actually released songs that I've never released before. And I do a little analysis of how they compare to my current situation in life. Songs I wrote 20 years ago and how the lyrics actually apply more to today than they did then. Really cool. So take a look and take a listen, and I will be back tomorrow with more. Take care. Have a great day.